So whose idea was this to establish TRE in the parks?
TRE in the parks is a wonderful idea. It was Raquel Flores is her name. Raquel Flores is a journalist and a public servant. So she took the TRE training and she fell in love with it. You went to Brazil, she went to your workshop, and then she finally decided to take the training. So no clinical background in terms of experience, professional experience in that area. It's actually a whole team that is doing the TRE in the parks in Brazil, gathered more than 100 people in the park, and they do it very safely. See, this is one of the things that I think makes it happen like that, is when it's presented as something simple, something that people can do, something that is not dangerous. So, and it's actually very good for your health, something that can relieve stress, helps you sleep better, things that attract the community and that invite people in a way that they feel, okay, this is what I need. I think a lot of the excitement around this, David, is people can feel that something is out of balance in our society, in the society we have created. We are way too stressed, too activated. And so it's not only about trauma, it's really about the human condition in present time is really not healthy. It's out of balance. And people are hungry for something that can bring peacefulness and bring tranquility again. So when it can be offered in public spaces for people to just come with their family, like in the pictures you can see, the husband, wife, the kids are there. It's done in a very light way, in a very safe way. And people, when they feel the tremors and they feel the benefits of it, they just respond. And then it becomes a regular activity, community-based. And in Brazil, it's usually being offered for free for the community. Raquel found a way to really establish very nice communication with the community, to invite people. So I want to say she uses certain principles to make it also safe. She doesn't just go to a park and people are walking by and she invites them to do it. She has a system that she has developed to kind of get an idea of how many people are going to show up. So people sign up through a WhatsApp group. And this link, she says, you can invite anybody, send the link. As soon as they join the group, we know they are in. Usually 1/3 of the people who sign up don't show up. And she already knows that from experience. And from that, she knows about how many assistants we have. So the limit of people that we want in that event. So it's not like if 200 people show up and she's alone, you know. She developed a way of structuring it that makes it safe and that she can manage what is going to happen. But there is a context before that. I think the emphasis in the training on stress reduction, on tension release, on health promotion, TRE as a tool for self-care and for collective care. So we need to find ways that people can have as a way of taking good care of themselves, of their own health, and taking care of each other. And when people see that there is a possibility, and TRE is a marvelous possibility for that, they take it. And that's why it's expanding. And I think soon we will see it expand to many other cities in Brazil. And also it's already expanding to Argentina, like you said, and Colombia, I believe, is already thinking about it. So it's going to expand to other places. Because this is another way TRE has been expanding in Brazil very successfully in that framework of health promotion and of self-care and collective care, which is in already structured and sustainable networks. And again, TRE comes in just as a tool for them to take care of themselves and take care of each other. So the emphasis is really on the self-care and not on trauma, because as soon as you put trauma, and we know everyone is traumatized, all these people are traumatized, many of these people who went to the park are traumatized. But if you invite people to come to the park to release their traumas, you are inviting in trouble. See, people don't go with that kind of expectation. But if you invite it as a simple way for them to really take good care of themselves, they will sleep better, they will feel less anxious. It's very easy to manage. How are you going to adapt for all of them? So this is another thing that I think is very helpful, is when we really trust people's resources and capacities. I told them each of these people are PhDs in the body they have. They have lived their whole life in that body. When we need to adapt, we ask them, how do you think you can adapt for your body? But collectively, what makes it safe is creating enough social engagement, enough collective safety, then whatever happens with the individuals is easy to manage.
Say just a little bit more of encouragement about moving TRE in the direction of self-help and stress reduction. And
no, I don't mean to discard TRE as something that is very useful also in the clinical world and in the clinical area, in the different clinical modalities. But when I always think of the roots of TRE in the work you developed and why you needed to develop these exercises in a simple way and the realities you were confronted with in order to come up with this beautiful, deep way for people to really release what their nervous system is holding, what their bodies is holding under extreme stress. So, and the roots of it were you could not be there and take care of all these people, and there weren't clinicians around, and they couldn't look for therapists and for clinicians. They needed something to take care of them, each of themselves and each other. So it's going back to the roots of TRE really, and this means that, for example, Raquel is a wonderful example. Who had this idea of TRE in the parks. She's not a clinician. So she's very aware from the beginning that she's not going to treat trauma, and she's not worried about that. And I think that makes it safe because she's approaching it in the right way. She's saying, this is simple, this is easy, we do it like this. Of course, she, in the training, learned ways to deal with freeze, flood, dissociation. She's informed about this, she has skills, but that's not the emphasis and that's not the way it is presented. So it can then expand to really large groups of people in large populations in very challenging contexts because it doesn't become dependent on highly skilled professionals and can count a lot on the local resources, the resources people already have. See, to really give people autonomy, and if we are really serious about it, I consider we are not treating anybody. We are educating people on how their nervous system responds to stress. We are educating them on this beautiful resilience that the body has. We are educating them on how they can activate the tremor mechanism and how they can cope with it and how they can stop it. So it's more, I would say, an education process than a therapeutic process. The therapeutic process happens because they learn about it and then they are coping with it themselves. But I really see what we are doing more as educating people on how their deep nature functions. And education empowers people. And David, there is this ongoing discussion with Porges, right? About, okay, the tremor mechanism is healing, but yeah, it's the social engagement and the connection with other love is healing. This promotes both. we are teaching people how to activate tremors, but we are also inviting them to a space where they feel connected. So one thing we have included a lot is doing it in circles, doing it where we can see each other, where we can hold each other.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that, how you've developed the exercises to be more communal or relational.
We are a bio-psychosocial spiritual being. So the biological dimension, the psycho-emotional dimension are more familiar or more used in the psychotherapeutic world. The social dimension then includes how do we connect in community, how we connect with each other. And this includes not also listening to the resources that are present. And in some cultures, for example, singing is very helpful. And you do a circle and people sing. You don't need to ask the group to breathe. So people will naturally breathe, will naturally promote inner vibration, but also they are connecting when it's appropriate in that cultural context to their roots, their ancestors, to their cultural values, to their memories. And it creates a really strong container and bonding container, because they are also doing it and they are smiling, they are looking at each other, and sometimes they just, well, they feel very connected. So in order to expand this, then I would need more time to talk about, to train people from the communities to do it with each other. I developed a way of training teams rather than training individuals, because in the background is or Western society has become very individualistic. But when you train teams, they support each other and they are not alone. And they complement each other's skills. They make it very safe and they feel we are able to do this. And then it's happening. And it's happening in several networks, in the feminist network, in the human activism. Many human rights activists are using it as self-care and mutual care. It's expanding in the public health system. There is one experience very recently, it went into public schools in Brazil. Marcelo sent pictures very recently about an experience in schools that involved integrative practices. It involved yoga, Tai Chi, other Reiki. And there were 6 rooms just with TRE. And they were doing large groups of adolescents with TRE. And some of the teachers said, were afraid before it started, like, are they going to be able to control this? Because it was this ball of explosive energy in the room. And in the end, they saw all of them on the floor tremoring, and in the end, many of them fell asleep. And they were saying in the end, why we needed this, we have been needing this for a long time, and when are you coming back? The adolescents themselves are asking for more. They feel in their bodies that this is what they need. This is what they are not getting.
Wow. So is there an opportunity that they might go back and continue this in schools?
Yes. These teams that are being trained in the public health system now include teams of teachers that are doing it in public schools. So the tendency is that it will expand also in the educational system.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to say?
No, I want to thank you for developing this beautiful work and for being so open, because you know, if it stayed in a very rigid structure that has no room for adaptation and creativity, this would not be happening. And so this openness is making it possible. And to thank some people in Brazil that are really moving it forward, like Marcelo in the public health system and now educational system, Raquel in the, not only Raquel, you know, Paulo, Henrique, Elizabeth. Now I will forget someone who will be mad at me. Cristina Flores, her sister, and now Fabricio. So all these people who are really taking it forward, and in all these different initiatives, all these beautiful women in the feminist network and in CPT. So to thank all these people, because they are really engaged, and most of them do it really out of their wish to contribute. It's really because they feel we are all interconnected. And this interconnection is leading people to want to, like, how can I, in the world that surrounds me, contribute in a healthy way?